That's right. It is another beautiful, sunny day out here at Longhaven Retreat. The sun is shining right in my face, and I can barely see anything right now. But once again, I'm out here floating in the middle of the pond. Today is a much better day. It's a much calmer day. It's a much more peaceful day. There was some truth that I dealt with early this morning, and as a result of that, it's been a much better day. One of the questions that I've gotten fairly regularly is, why do I continue to do such physical labor, like some of the harder physical labor out here on the property? Today I was building bunk beds again all day, fastening them together, sanding them down, polyurethaning them, working on bunk beds to put in the cabin, main cabin. And I get asked a lot, why do you spend so much time doing physical things? I'm a very physical person. It's because 40 years ago this week, I was laying in a hospital as a 19-year-old former athlete with a dream to play college football. I was laying in the hospital having my first extremely invasive back surgery. I was having a lumbar laminectomy. I was having a back fusion. The doc was taking bones off of my pelvic, shavings, reforming and refashioning me a new vertebrae. My fourth lumbar vertebrae was loose. I'd cracked it, and I remember going in, it was this week, 40 years ago this week. It's amazing now that I'm thinking about it, but I remember going in to that situation knowing that I was a very physical person. And I remember one vivid conversation I had with my surgeon at the time. I said, I'm a very competitive guy, I'm a very physical guy, grew up on a farm, do most anything I want with my body. I'm continuing to pursue college football. I'm planning on playing college football when this is all done. And he basically said, no, your days are over. Your physical days are over. Your athletic days are over. You will not compete at anything ever again. And I says, well, you don't understand, Doc. I'm a very competitive person, and I have to compete. I have to do something physical. And he said, well, if you really want to learn to compete, you probably ought to learn to play chess. Yeah, chess. The board game, of course. I am not a chess player. I think I've purposely refused to learn how to play the game because I remember that conversation. And at 19 years old, freshman in college, I laid in bed for 4.5 months. Now, I was supposed to lay in bed for 6 months. I could get out of bed for 15 minutes a day. That's it. I could not sit down. I could only lay down or stand up for 6 months. And at 19 years old, my freshman year in college, 40 years ago, this week, I had that first surgery. It was a gift to me. It was a gift. God gave me the gift of getting my attention, forcing me on my back, getting my attention, and I had 4.5 months of pretty much a non-stop conversation, staring at the ceiling in the living room of my farmhouse as a 19-year-old dude. And God and I spent 4.5 months getting to know each other. And I am so much a better person as a result of that. Man, it was a rough couple years. I had 3 back surgeries when I was in college. I kind of lost my identity for a little bit. Lost who I was. But by the grace of God, He brought me back. He brought me back to who He created me to be. And that's 40 years ago this week. Yeah, the doc that did my first 2 back surgeries, I needed my second back surgery because, like an idiot, I didn't listen to the doc. And so at 4.5 months, I talked some of my buddies into coming picking me up. And they took me away from the house. My parents were home. And they took me Sunday afternoon away from the house. And I wasn't supposed to leave. I wasn't supposed to be out of bed, but I had my back brace on, and they took me away. I talked them into it. I guess I was pretty persuasive back in those days, maybe, I don't know. All that to say is, the day that I got out of bed and left the house, I got hit by a car. So a year later, I had surgery number 2. And that's when things got really, really bad. I developed a really bad attitude. I took matters into my own hands, did not listen to the doc at all. And I literally believed that my God was bigger than any diagnosis that any medical professional could give me. And so I took matters into my own hands. I didn't really listen to God. I took matters into my own hands. I got myself in shape, and I was committed to playing football after 2 back surgeries. And my doctor, my surgeon, knew that that's what I wanted to do. My father was dying of cancer. He subsequently died of cancer in 1986. And I had an opportunity to get reconnected back to the Ohio State football program, late 1986, 1987. And my surgeon knew that that was my dream. He knew that I couldn't play, but he knew it was my dream to be a part of the OSU football program. And so he made it possible. After my dad died, he loaned me some money, made it possible for me to finish my degree at Ohio State, work with the Ohio State football program. And I invited him to my college graduation. I'll never forget. I invited him to my college graduation, and he couldn't come, but he sent a card. And his card was the last card that I opened up at my college graduation. And when I read the card, I just started weeping. Because inside of the card, he had put the notes, the promissory notes of the loan that he gave me for college. And he said, paid in full. He had stamped paid in full on both of those promissory notes. And he said, I got one stipulation. His handwriting in the card was, I got one stipulation. You never have to pay these loans back if you will dedicate your life to serving other people and helping them accomplish something that they would never be able to accomplish without you being in their life. That's why I still do what I do. That's one of the main reasons I do what I do. That's one of the main reasons 40 years ago, I was told I would never do anything physical a day in my life again. And 40 years later, here's my shirt, by the way. 40 years later, yes, by faith. Yes, by faith. I'm going to use this body until it can't be used, because I get a new one. When this body is done and I can't do anything physical, I get a new body. And so until then, I'm going to continue to fulfill my promise to Dr. David Steiner, who did my first 2 back surgeries. When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to try to find somebody to help them accomplish something in life that they couldn't do if I wasn't in their life. I would not be here if it wasn't for him. And I wouldn't have the commitment to do what I do if it wasn't for him and his graciousness. And by God's grace, this sabbatical has helped me get even more deeply in touch with my faith, I can tell, and with the truth of why I do what I do. And I just wanted to come out here on the pond and float around for a little bit, and I wanted to share that. Yes, by faith. By the grace of God, I can chop a tree down with an axe. I can go for a little jog. I can ride the bike, I can lift weights, I can do hard physical labor, digging trenches, whatever here on the property. I can build bunk beds. But I haven't ever been able to do that on my own. I've had a lot of help along the way, a lot of encouragement, and I get a new body, and that's the good news. That's available to you too. You know, I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what you're dealing with. But just be encouraged. There is a great physician who knows more than our current medical profession, but he uses our current medical profession every day to set people free, to help them accomplish things they would never think about accomplishing. And when you meet him face to face, you can get a new body. So I'm going to leave you with that today. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you.